Hello, sinners. My name is the Reverend Bucktooth Jesus, and I am your atheistic satanic Reverend. And this is an introduction to my social media / YouTube specifically. This is going to be, fun fact, my first ever long format video with a new little mic setup, courtesy of my spouse. This video is going to talk in detail about some of the things I do and don't believe in as an atheistic satanic reverend. What do I stand for? Why do I dislike religion so much, especially Abrahamic religions, and so much more. Well, to give you a little bit of insight on who I am, contrary to popular belief, a human being under all this funny getup. I do this to be funny and to get people to listen to me. I am a transmasculine, non-binary person who has been shunned by organized religion for merely existing. My religious background starts not in Christianity, but in paganism specifically. I grew up being Wiccan. From the time I was literally born to the time I was 11 or 12 years old. And then we converted to Catholicism, which is a whole nother story for a whole nother day, because a lot of weird stuff happened in that religion. Then we converted to things like Pentecostal, Methodist. Then we settled into the religion of my mother's birth, which, by the way, she was the spiritual leader of the family, and I put that in quotes because my father's stepfather and biological father have no interest in religion. So we settled into being Southern Baptist. Which is very funny because my parents originally, my stepfather and my mother, met in a pagan chat room. But they don't like to talk about that. Anyways, so with religion, I have been around the block a time or two, dear siblings in Satan, with religion. I have seen it, observed it, you name it, I've seen it probably. And in all that time, I've always had this question, why believe any of it? And I felt like if I didn't believe in religion, I felt like if I didn't lie about it, two things would happen. Either one, my family would shun me and they would stop loving me. And two, because religion is so if you don't believe in God, you're going to go to hell. If I didn't fake like I believed it, that I wouldn't go to heaven with the rest of my family. And, for a long time, I felt really kind of broken and there was something wrong with me because I don't believe in any of this stuff, but if that's what we're doing, okay, I guess. And maybe it's because I think deeply all the time about everything. For a while, I felt kind of lost and I didn't really know, even my mind felt like it was a not safe place because if God is always watching, he knows what I'm thinking. And it kind of made me feel lost for a while. And when I wanted to separate myself from Abrahamic religion, I returned to my roots of being a Norse pagan specifically. I chose Norse paganism because at the time, I felt like it called to me. But even in that, I didn't feel like it quite fit how I felt about the world and how I viewed the world. So then I started reading atheistic books and watching atheistic videos and seeing what atheists were saying in general. And even though I liked atheism, the problem I had is I felt like there is some types of atheists who are a little too lenient on religion. They see the damage it's doing, but they want to make excuses for why people should be allowed to believe what they believe. And this, dear siblings in Satan, did not jive with how I felt. So I expressed this viewpoint to my spouse who had just been getting into listening to podcasts because at the time he was an overnight store, he took things and put them on the shelves essentially. And he was listening to podcasts while doing that. And he found this one called Hail Satan. And I listened to one video and I was in love. However, a little bit of a disclaimer for this next part. This is my own personal opinion and isn't to throw shade at Mr. Rose, the person who created the Hail Satan podcast. But these next set of events are from my own perspective and may or may not represent how Mr. Rose actually felt. I felt like that this person, Mr. Rose, was running his podcast and the organization behind it similar to organized religion in the you give money to me and whatever. And like, I understand that things need to be funded, but the way he was going about it, he took basically pages out of Abrahamic religions, and I didn't really like that, especially with how like his followers weren't really allowed to have an opinion. At least that's what I observed. And so I didn't like that. I decided to leave that organization and I stopped listening to that podcast because it conflicted with me. However, it did kind of open up something different for me, and it's practicing by myself. For a long time, I felt like the only type of like religion was organized religion, and even like on a level of like TST organization. And then I realized that atheistic Satanism, the type I'm practicing, is very solitary. You very much need to like be by yourself and do as much research as you can. And then you can go and commune with people who feel the same way, but don't exactly, make it an organized religion. So I moved on from that podcast, and then I personally found this really nice podcast called Black Mass Appeal, and they're from the satanic, they call themselves the Satanic Bay area, and one of my favorite things from them was something, and they still do it, it's called the Daily Baffirmation, and I felt like that really filled a spot in my heart that I felt like was missing, because those daily affirmations are things like, be yourself, follow yourself, be kind to others, hey, it's okay if you're having a bad day, stuff like that, stuff you don't see in organized Abrahamic religions. And then I started on another journey, which was inspired partly by the unquestionable Calvin. If you haven't, you should follow him. He's like one of the best atheists I know. Love you, Calvin. I bought a Bible, I tabbed it, and if you want more information for that, you should go follow him and his stuff, because I did it almost relatively the same way. But basically what you do is you take a Bible and you tab, and this is a Bible as long as it's not altered, like, New Living Translation, anything like that, don't use that for that. But you take the Bible and you highlight the good, the bad, the ugly, the inconsistencies, whatever. I decided that I was going to learn everything about the Bible that religion kept hidden. And I started with things like Seth Andrews, the Thinking Atheist, listening to and watching a lot of his work. I started reading Dr. Bart Ehrman's stuff, I guess you could say I kind of went down a atheistic rabbit hole, like Talk Heathen, The Atheist Experience, Matt Dillahunty, and Forrest Vilkai, to name a few. And when I hit the bottom of that little rabbit hole, I realized something. And it's something that really made me mad and kind of messed me up for a while, was I was lied to about religion my whole life. And nobody around me taught me differently, and that made me angry. And through constructive anger comes good things. And in this case, I decided to make my social media, and my YouTube page dedicated to the talk about how organized religion is lying to you. And I'm sorry they are. I really am. And for a while, I went through, different, names. And I also had, an epiphany. Even though religion has the appearance of community, it's not real. It's almost like a facade, a fake, a phony. And with atheistic Satanism and doing my social media stuff, I have never felt more community than in organized religion. And if you're wondering, how did you acquire the name, the Reverend Bucktooth Jesus? It's real simple. You out-troll the Christian trolls. And what do you mean by that, you may ask? And what I mean is the following. if you sit there and, like, for example, people were making fun of my teeth, my glasses, me being bald, whatever, I don't care. They were doing that so much that I'm like, it's such a recurring theme that I should just make it part of my channel. So I did. Reverend Bucktooth. And at one point, I had long hair, so I kind of looked like Jesus a little bit, if he was trans. And then I decided to shave my head because I wanted to look like Anton LaVey a little bit. That, and I've been told my whole life, oh, your hair's so beautiful, you shouldn't do anything to it. I did. I just want to go over what I am not, and it's the following. I do not make deals with demons or the devil. I have not, and do not plan on selling my soul to the devil, because that's not a real thing. I don't believe in the actual devil. The devil, as you all may know, is an amalgamation of human works of fiction, like Paradise Lost, Dr. Faust, and Satan, the angel on God's council. I do not believe in gods of any kind. I am purely atheistic, and I use this as symbolism for my rebellion against religion. And folks, if people tell you there's something wrong with rebellion, they're trying to hold you back. This YouTube and other social media were inspired by two major things. One, being myself and encouraging others to do the same without the shame of sin, because, fun fact, sin is a human construct. It is not real. It is fake. And I also want to tell the truth on what organized religion is lying to you about, because they're lying to you about many things. You know how people quote the whole armor of God? Well, Ephesians, that book, according to Dr. Bart Ehrman, is a historical forgery. And you wouldn't know that because your pastors and priests know these things, especially if they went to seminary school or the Catholic equivalent, and they just choose not to teach you. They say, oh, it's in your best interest, you couldn't handle the truth. They're infantilizing us, as in the rest of the species, us. Also, let me pose a question to you, and this is just, kind of a sidetrack thing. How is it that illiterate fishermen and day laborers from Galilee were writing these complex Greek sentences when, again, one, they're illiterate, and two, they've probably never spoken an ounce of Greek in their life? I do not claim titles like the Messiah or a prophet. I am simply an agent of truth, the Son of Man. And when I say Son of Man, I mean Son of Humanity. I am a child of the earth. We evolved from the earth, and that is where we go back to, folks. No ifs, ands, or buts. I personally roam the earth to please myself and work through the knowledge to help people doing what I'm doing. And atheistic Satanism has helped me. It has helped me grow. It has helped me change. I feel like that I am more confident as a person. I feel like I'm more secure in the foundation that I know that when I die, probably nothing is going to happen. I'm not going to go to heaven. I'm not going to go to hell. I will just simply cease to exist. And given the life I have lived, that will be all the better. That may sound messed up, but I don't think it matters what happens after I die. People get so caught up in it, that's why they make religion. My thing about atheistic Satanism, or at least my version of it, is you are a truth seeker. Above all else, treat truth and knowledge as sacred, because it is. In this day and age where people can say whatever they want without any sort of evidence, you be that person that shows up with that evidence. If a Christian is coming at you saying all these things, make sure you know more than they do about what they're talking about, because they don't know what they're talking about. I personally like to read the works of like the Satanic Bible, Dr. Bart Ehrman. I have a personal friend who's also an author. His name is Reed MacArthur. Seth Andrews for actual information. And I continuously read all that I can on the truth. And now because I have my own awesome setup, I can share that with you. And that is the whole point of this YouTube channel. I feel like it was high time I made this video because for a long time people were confused on what I am and what I am not. And I go out into the world and people still don't understand. For example, I go grocery shopping, not like this, but you probably have seen it. I have a sweatshirt that says "Make America Satanic Again" because the current administration. And I go out and I wear that, and I wear this simple little hat. Nothing more, nothing less. And people have such, like, shit hemorrhages about it that they start singing hymns under their breath as they walk by me. It's ridiculous. You people are ridiculous. And the whole reason why I even wear that stuff is twofold reasons. One, if the Christians can wear their little crosses and, man, that's on a torture device, I can wear my stuff. And two, I'm just existing. And you're treating me like I am the spawn of evil. And it's so ridiculous that adult humans believe that. With all that being said, I would want to know what you want to see out of my videos, because I will take questions, comments, stuff like that, if they're appropriate. I also want to talk about one more thing that I don't really I don't see other people talking about a whole lot, and that's how creepy and gory the Abrahamic religion is as a whole. Aside from, the fact that there was 2 she-bears and 40 children getting nom-nommed because they made fun of a bald man. And dear siblings in Satan, you may be wondering, what's so creepy and gory about the Bible? Well, aside from what I just mentioned, let's examine a Bible story. And specifically, this is a disclaimer for YouTube. This is in the Bible. Don't get mad. Sorry, that's my dog. This next story was pulled from MikeDuran.com, and I did, cross-reference. This is real. At least in the Bible. Whether it's Robin Hardy's classic The Wicker Man or Ari Aster's Midsummer, human sacrifice holds a special place in the annals of horror cinema. But without question, the most heinous of all sacrifices involves children. Human sacrificing plays a significant role in Scripture. This is due in large part to the ancient historical setting of the Old Testament. The Jews were called to be separate from the surrounding pagan cultures. This is why child sacrifice was strongly forbidden in the Pentateuch. For example, in Deuteronomy 12:31, a good example of the common prohibition is you must not worship the Lord your God in their way, because in worshiping their gods they do all kinds of detestable things the Lord hates. They even burn their sons and daughters in the fire as sacrifice to their gods. I also want to make note that's very interesting, because didn't Sodom and Gomorrah, didn't God kill all the women, children, and people that were there? The Ammonites and the Canaanites revered Molech, creating images out of bronze, whose outstretched arms were heated red hot before placing a child in there to be incinerated alive. Despite the prolific amounts of condemnation of human sacrifice, the Israelites were often guilty of it. The evil Jewish king Mansana offered his son as a sacrifice in 2 Kings 21:6, as it did King Asa in 2 Chronicles 28:1-4. Many of these wicked leaders built high places, altars of worship to pagan gods like Astaroth, Chemosh, and Molech. This can be found in 2 Kings 11:4-11. Also, Jesus referenced Gehenna nearly a dozen times. The word Gehenna is derived from the Hebrew Gi-Hamon, or Valley of Hyman. The Valley of Hyman is the site where Molech was worshipped via child sacrifice. The location was often seen as defiled, unholy grounds and became synonymous with hell. Human sacrifices existed throughout history and even continues to this day. And in fact, many view legalized abortion, and I don't, because your body, your choice. Legalized abortion, I do condemn sex trafficking and child slave labor as contemporary forms of child sacrifice. The scripture is often explicit in its affirmation of human worth and its condemnation of human sacrifice. Nevertheless, the proliferation of the practice throughout the ancient and present history is a reminder of our debauched, repropriated nature. Needless to say, that is one of the many, many stories that are honestly, morally speaking, it doesn't fit with me. I detest that kind of violence and hurting children. And no, fetuses do not count. Having navigated through religious trauma, I now recognize that the world is far less intimidating than my religious upbringing depicted. This journey has sharpened my awareness of my surroundings and has revealed that religion often acts as a mechanism to instill fear in children and compelling them to behave. Moreover, it offers those lacking a solid moral foundation a convenient scapegoat for their personal challenges. I feel like I, as an atheistic satanic reverend, have a duty to be antithetical to religion as a whole. So I took the symbols of Satan, the adversary, as my own to get people to see how silly it is to believe in a boogeyman. We live in a day and age where we are discovering new ways to understand the world around us, and we don't need religion anymore. So siblings in Satan, I implore you to rise up against the scourge of the earth that is religion. Walk secure in yourself alone and take care of the planet on which we live. There is no rapture and there is no afterlife, so enjoy life to the fullest. Hail Satan, hail you.